Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2. I hope you had a good night's rest and you're ready for a great day today. I am here with my good friend Wendle Medford. And Wendle, you and I traveled a few weeks ago up to Denver, to Lakewood, Colorado, to do this interview with Colonel James Harvey, 100-year-old soldier from World War II. And it was a great time together. What do you want people to know about before we show this interview? What do they need to know to get the most out of it, what they're about to see?
Well, first of all, Mike, I could not stop fanguying or fanboying. I don't know if there's such a thing, but I'm going to make up that word. So Colonel Harvey is a man of few words. He's all about action, my type of guy. And I will tell you, if they're going to cast for the Top Gun 3, the sequel, I'm going to lobby for him to take that because he's still fit for combat.
Yeah, he won the very first Top Gun competition, as we'll hear about it. I think one of the things, as we're going to let you view this interview, that really you need to be aware of, you'll see he has a stack of papers on the table. And he didn't tell us what those papers were at the very beginning. And it took kind of a little bit to kind of figure it out. But sometimes we talk about the proverbial they. Like, what are they going to say? Or what are they thinking about me? And sometimes that's not even real. But in his case, what he had was a report from the U.S. War College that asserted that African-American pilots would not be able to perform in World War II. It's a they, but it's not a proverbial they. And I think that influenced his feelings as he was talking to us. So anything else you want to say in prep for that?
No, Mike, I'm looking forward to the just displaying the video, and we can follow up after that.
I know you are a guy that you're a snappy dresser, and you always got socks. I didn't know I was going to need sunglasses with this coat. But nevertheless, I did up my game, and I've got my socks, the popcorn socks, because we're going to go to the movies.
All right, showtime.
What do you got? What do you got?
Well, I've got my custom-made Tuskegee Airman socks on for this occasion.
Man, nobody beats Wendle at this game, let me tell you. He's got...
But before we transition, Mike, I got something for you. You know, you're okay. I don't care what Ron says about you. I've got a custom pair of socks for you, and she'll hold these up.
Whoa!
We've got our pictures on them, right?
Mike and Wendle, are you kidding me?
Right, and I've only worn them twice, so.
Thank you, my friend. These are great. You're a brother, I tell you. All right, we're going to dim the lights, show the video. We're going to stay right here, and we're going to talk a little bit about it in the after it's over.
Hi, I'm Wendy Strom, Mayor of the City of Lakewood. On behalf of our organization and the entire City of Lakewood, I am so honored to present to you one of our most revered residents, Colonel James Harvey. You're probably already aware of some of his accomplishments from his amazing career, but I'll just remind you of a few of those highlights. 22 years of military service in the United States Air Force, becoming the first Top Gun winner in 1949, and being awarded several military awards, including the Distinguished Flying Cross, the Air Medal, and the Congressional Gold Medal, which was awarded to Tuskegee Airmen in 2007. When SGR reached out to us about helping to produce an interview with Colonel Harvey, we were excited to participate because we believe he is one of the finest examples anywhere of what it means to be a servant leader. And it's his example that we are striving to live up to, along with so many others like you who are dedicated local government employees. So from the City of Lakewood, Colorado, we are proud to present to you Colonel James Harvey. We hope you enjoy the interview.
Hi, everyone. This is Mike Mallory along with Wendle Medford from SGR, and we are here doing an interview with Colonel James Harvey. Colonel Harvey is a very distinguished veteran of the United States. He is one of the original airmen from the Tuskegee Airman. I never say that right. And we are so appreciative of the time he's taken to share with us about his experience. And we are so appreciative, Colonel Harvey, of the chance to visit with you about your career and about your service to our country and about what you've learned through the years about leadership. And so we're just going to ask you several questions and visit with you. And Wendle, I'll give you the first go at it.
Well, first of all, congratulations on your promotion to Colonel.
Thank you.
That's an accomplishment, long time coming. And I will share with you, just growing up as a kid, in our household, we had two rules. My mom had two rules, basically before you went out to play. Either you were cleaning or reading. And so thankfully, I picked up on the art of grabbing picture books. So I was able to crank out and read 5 books per day. But in one of those books, it outlined and talked about the Tuskegee Airman. And I will share with you, that was my inspiration of joining the Air Force later on in life. And so, first of all, just thank you for everything that you've done. The first question we have here, so what inspired you to become a Tuskegee Airman? And how did you get involved in aviation?
Nothing inspired me to become a Tuskegee Airman. I wanted to fly. I was 10 years old at the time, and I was in my front yard. We lived in a rural area in northeastern Pennsylvania. And I heard this noise overhead, and I looked up. It was a flight of P-40s from Fort, Pennsylvania, which wasn't too far away. And I said, I'd like to do that one day. That was it. So I applied for cadet training. I was accepted. There were 10 of us that took the exam at Bowling Field, 9 whites and myself. And we, in the dust cleared, there were only 2 of us standing.
Wow.
So from there, I went to Keesler Field. And all those of us that went through Tuskegee went through Keesler Field for basic training. So I got my basic training, and from there, Tuskegee, and the rest is history.
Evidently, during this time period, there was a campaign that was started by the Pittsburgh Courier. It was called the Double V campaign.
Double V, yeah.
Yes, sir. So victory abroad and also victory for home.
In the South.
In the South. So for many African Americans, they were fighting 2 wars: war for Hitler, and then also for to address social inequalities at home. So talk to us a little bit about how you were able to overcome challenges and prejudice that you faced as an African American pilot.
I ignored them. I didn't have any problems, really. I stayed on the base. I stayed to myself, along with the other Tuskegee Airmen, and did what I had to do. So all this other Mickey Mouse stuff, it's not Mickey Mouse really, but all that stuff they tried to put in my way, I just ignored, period. I was there for a reason. That was to learn to fly. That was paramount. So I learned to fly, and I was a perfectionist. And perfectionists, everything has to be perfect. And so when I finished, I was better than my instructors. In fact, all of us were, because the maneuvers they gave us to accomplish, we did. Now, the white cadets, all they had to do was demonstrate they could get the aircraft off the ground and back on safely, not us. We had to learn to fly the aircraft. Different maneuvers, everything had to be perfect for us, because they were trying to wash us out. So we proved them wrong. We did it. That's why we were so good. We knew how to fly the airplane. All they could do is take off and land. Not too good at that.
Right. It's obvious that your unit lost significantly fewer pilots to enemy attacks. And do you feel like that was because you had prepared so much?
You could say that, yes, yes. We knew what the aircraft could do, and we knew what we could do in the aircraft. So you can't beat that combination.
Langston Hughes wrote a poem. It was titled From Beaumont to Detroit, and basically was mocking the hypocrisy of World War II. Jews were underneath Nazi oppression, and also African Americans were underneath. They were fighting this war, but also Jim Crow back in the South. So what impact do you believe Tuskegee Airmen had on breaking down racial barriers in the military and society at large?
I'd say we were the forerunners of the civil rights movement. And we proved that we could get along. And that's what it's all about, getting along. And we weren't the characters they portrayed us to be. We were intelligent people. In fact, we were better than they were when it came to flying.
My grandfather served in World War II. He was in the Navy and also the Korean War. But he talked about some of the issues or challenges that he faced, and it was also kept that service before self mentality to help him persevere and continue. So that's what I hear you say too. You put service before self in order to achieve the mission.
Kind of speaking to that ability, the skills you developed, you were also, as your hat testifies to, the winner of the Top Gun competition in 1949.
Yes.
Talk about that experience for us. What was that like?
I'll start off by saying this happened in May of '49. We finally got recognized in January of 2022, almost 73 years later. But we got it. But why so long? We weren't supposed to win. And we that upset everything. Well, we won, I should say, that upset everything. So, but we were there to win, not lose. We went there to win. Plus, before we left Lockbourne in Columbus, Ohio, we met with Colonel Davis, our commander. And his departing remark was, if you don't win, don't come back. So with those words of encouragement, off we went to Las Vegas.
Talk a little bit about, if you will, some of the mentors and people that you looked up to that really had an impact upon your career.
I have to say that was my mother. We did everything together. We cooked, we wallpapered, we painted furniture, we painted walls. We did everything together. And plus she had a good sense of humor, and we laughed a lot. I'm still laughing today. But I had a good childhood. I was the only child for 9 years, and then my brother showed up. The doctor told my mother she couldn't have any more children after I was born, so she took his word for it. But 9 years later, she had my brother, and 3 years after that, a sister. 3 years after that, another sister. So it's made up for lost time.
Yeah.
But like I say, my mother had a good sense of humor, and we did everything together, and we did a lot of laughing. She was a very kind person. She was a petite person. She was 5'2", wore a size 4 shoe. And she was very petite, but a good person.
So how did the Tuskegee Airman experience shape your perception of patriotism and your service to the country?
It didn't. I have core values, and everything I do has to be perfect. I was a perfectionist when I was growing up, and everything had to be perfect. I got married, I had to knock it off, but my wives, I had 2 wives, they both passed, and I'm on my own now, so I'm back to my old habits. But it paid off for me. It paid off. The instructor gave me a maneuver to practice. I practice it and I nail it. No problem. No problem. None whatsoever in flying school.
Yeah. Can you describe a little bit of what the camaraderie was like with your unit? And because you were, often put down and you were, they were attempting to wash you out, as you said, did that sort of draw you together as a unit, or just talk about that?
During flying school, I was in 44I. That was my class. So I went through as a class with my group, and I think there were, I have to say, maybe 20 people in my class. And each class varied with the numbers. But we went through as a group. We did everything as a group, and we finished and we got our wings as a group. And during that time, we just had each other, that's all. We talked to each other, and how did you do this maneuver? Well, how did you do this one? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? And that was it. That was it. When we graduated from flying school, Then we were assigned to one of the squadrons in the group, and I was assigned to the 99th. And that was at Godman Field, Kentucky. Because I had my bags packed, within 1 hour catching the train to go to Norfolk, get on the ship, go over to Europe and join the group. And we got a message saying to hold us. The war in Italy was over and they expected to wind up the whole European theater, which they did. The following month, Hitler gave up, called it quits. Well, he heard I was coming, so he threw in the towel, right? Yeah. But then from there, I went to Godman Field, Kentucky, joined the 99th Fighter Squadron. We were flying P-47s at Godman Field. Then we had a group of, we had 4 groups of B-25s, and they were at Freeman Field. Then they moved to Godman Field with the rest of us, but the runway was too short for them at Godman Field, so we needed another airfield. But no one wanted us in their backyard. And President Truman said, Columbus, Ohio, Lockport Air Force Base. It was closed at the time. They opened it up. We moved in there. We stayed there until we deactivated.
How did you decide that you were going to make it a career in the military? After World War II and then after Korean War, you stayed and served till 1965. What motivated you to do that?
I loved doing what I was doing, flying. And where could I fly for free? Military. They paid me to fly. Right. So after a while, I couldn't beat it. What else could I do? I loved flying. I loved flying fighters. And you always have to make the right decision. It has to be the right one every time. So that was okay. It was a challenge, but that's what I'm getting paid for. And that's the way I am, period, anyway. Mm-hmm. Everything has to be perfect. So when I got married, I had to knock it off. But now that I'm single again, I'm back at my old habits. But it paid off for me. It paid off for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Colonel, in moments of adversity, what kept you motivated and determined to succeed?
That's just the way I am. That's my makeup. Nothing less than perfection. So it's all in. I know it sounds simple, but that's the way it was. If you're a perfectionist, everything has to be perfect, and I love doing what I was doing. I couldn't beat it. It was the best combination there was. Doing what I want to do, and I'm a perfectionist. All right.
No, sir, I love the attitude.
Right.
I made it happen. I made it happen. I get joy out of being perfect. That's me. Don't settle for anything less.
So what has life been like for you post-military? And how did those experiences in World War II and Korea shape you after your service?
I think I was in shape before I went. Nothing shaped me, really.
No.
No. I just fell into their routine. Okay, what do I have to do? And I'd bring my perfectionism to that, whatever they wanted me to do. And I breezed through flying school, no problem.
It sounds like when you say that, you were competing as much against yourself and your standards
That's right.
as anything external.
That's right. Everything had to be perfect.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting.
People can't live with people like me, that's for sure. That's okay. I don't mind. I'm a loner anyway.
So what advice would you give aspiring leaders, particularly those facing challenges in their life?
They're not challenges, they're opportunities. So you go out and do what you have to do to accomplish that, whatever it is. And you can do it. Put your mind to it. There's no reason you can't. None.
When you look back
I
on
know
those
simple
challenges,
answers, but I'm just a simple person.
when you look back at those challenges, what's one of them that you felt like, I may not be able to overcome this one?
None.
None.
Perfectionists, you don't have anything like that. You can do anything. May take a little longer, but you can do it.
Yeah. I can see why Hitler decided to give it up when he found you were coming.
Okay.
You were going to win, right?
That's right.
If you could write a letter to your younger self, what would you want to convey to that younger James Harvey?
I did it my way. I made it happen. You can do the same thing. Just apply yourself. Just that simple. That's all you have to do. Apply yourself. It'll work out. But you have to give it your all, though.
Very good.
I know it's simple answers, but I'm a simple person.
And what do you hope that you and the other Tuskegee Airmen will be remembered for?
Okay, they said we could not do what we did. And we proved them wrong at every turn. No matter what they did, we were better. Went to the weapons meet, we won that. What else did we do? We did something else. Oh, plus our maintenance people. They were the best in the Air Force also. The Air Force grades maintenance squadrons. And every year the 332nd Fighter Group Maintenance come out on top. They were good. They went through Chinook Field as a unit. And as far as units going through, their scores have never been equaled
Really?
at Chinook Air Force Base. They were that high. They were that good. Well, we had a good unit. From the airmen all the way through the officers. We were the best. According to this report, no, it wasn't supposed to be. They had us all figured out, and they thought. We were all right. We had a good time. We enjoyed ourselves. We were good pilots. We proved it time after time.
Did you find eventually that your expertise gained you more acceptance from the rest of the Air Force? Or did you always feel like you were sort of looked down upon?
Oh, I didn't feel as though I was looked down on because I knew I was better. Maybe that's a wrong attitude. I don't know, but that was my feeling. Prove yourself. Prove you're better than I am. Until then, keep quiet.
Well, certainly, we look back at the contributions of Tuskegee Airmen as being very important in sort of paving the way
Right.
for civil rights in our country, and we're forever grateful for that. What do you feel like are the lessons from that era that we need to apply to this era and where we're at as a country right now?
I'd have to say it's the same thing. No matter what you do, strive to be the best. And if you do that, everything will work out.
Well, you've given us a great example and an inspiring example that we really have a lot to look up to you for and want to express our appreciation. And I know that the men and women that are at our Servant Leadership Conference that are watching this interview, they're people that are striving to be their best and do their best. And I'm sure that what they've heard from you today is going to inspire them to want to strive even more for that.
Like I tell all the youngsters I meet, I tell them strive to be the best, no matter what it is. Even if it's sanitation engineers, strive to be the best sanitation engineer.
Well, thank you so much. Wendle, anything you want to add as a closing?
No, I tell you, it's just an honor to be here, to be in your presence. And so it's because of your efforts here, we're able to sit here, Ebony and Ivor, and have this conversation, reflect on all those experiences. So thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Colonel Harvey, and thank you, City of Lakewood, for making this possible, and for all of those that are working in local government throughout the country, striving to be their best. I hope you'll remember Colonel Harvey when you feel like you're pushed to the wall, and be the best. And just like he said, it'll all work out. All right. Wendle, what's your takeaway from that interview?
First of all, ladies, if you didn't catch it, he's single. So, all right. Mike, I want to reflect back on that memo from 1925 that the Army War College put out. I just encourage everybody, if you go out and take a look at that. Uh, Quite honestly, Mike, the first time I read it, I had to take a break. It was pretty tough. And I'll just just highlight, and this is not verbatim, but the memo, there's 4 takeaways for me after reading that. But basically, blacks were inferior in mentality to their white counterparts. We lack moral character. We lack certain leadership skills that of other white counterparts. Basically, just said that we weren't fit for duty. And I will tell you, I see where Colonel Harvey, he carried that chip on his shoulder and he had that swagger. I mean, you had to have that. You had to have the emotional, mental fortitude to persevere during those times. And so it's because of his efforts, because of his bravery, his experience, that the Tuskegee Airmen and other black service members, they were very successful in prove those naysayers, the haters, to prove the haters wrong. And so that ultimately led to the desegregation of the military under President Truman.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we know that report's a bunch of malarkey, and but it was so widespread. My father was in that war. Your grandfather, as was mentioned in the interview, was in that war, and he had some really, devastating experiences. And we've talked about this a little bit. And if you would you just pull the curtain back a little bit and talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, and before I get started, this is no way to make anyone feel bad, but I think it's important that you hear this. My grandfather, he was in the Navy and served at Pearl Harbor. As a late teen, one of his first duties was to gather remains of U.S. sailors and package them and prepare for burial. So he was relegated to support roles, not combat roles, but support. Also during this time, he also performed munitions duty, where he was loading several bombs and ammunition onto ships. And black sailors at the time did not receive proper training. And so this was very dangerous, because you had white soldiers that were in positions of authority. They were incentivized for high output. And so if you take an untrained sailor loading tons of munitions onto these ships, you're talking about devastation. And that actually proved deadly back in 1944 at Port Chicago in the Bay Area. There was 5 tons of explosive that detonated, killed several hundred black sailors. And so it wasn't until after that accident, where it caught the attention of those powers that be, and they started to make changes.
So we don't have a lot of time left, but from this, what would you say to our co-laborers in local government about the role that they need to play, we need to play? Because we're still fighting these same 2 issues, Wendle, and we've made a lot of progress. But the baton's in our hand now. What do we need to hear, and what do we need to do?
No, there's more stories. We can go on for days and share stories, but I think what's most important, I won't say I know what's important. You're here at this conference because you believe in servant leadership. It's going to be this group here. We've got a lot of work to do, like you said, Mike, and we've got to pull together and work together and share a unified vision. And we can't be afraid to address certain issues or discuss those topics. And what I've learned along this journey, I went into the business, I was making friends, but ultimately I've made brothers and sisters that have become part of my extended family. And we're able to have those tough conversations. By doing that, I know if I'm not in the room, or, I know that I'm going to have the support. I'm going to have allies that are going to be able to take up and stand for those that are underserved or marginalized.
Yeah, and, I'm going to say, I think we talk about the fact that in servant leadership, you're nurturing healthy relationships. You also have the tension of innovation and execution. But nurturing healthy relationships can't preclude standing for the truth. And some of us old white guys, we have to have the courage as servant leaders, right? To say, no, I'm not for that. You can't, you may be there, but I stand for what's right. And even if that means losing some clout or relationships or whatever, I mean, people like Colonel Harvey, your grandfather, others we'll hear about later today in Chris Edmonds' story, they paid a big price, right? And we can't just let that go. And we have to be willing to pay whatever price we need to in order to protect civil rights, to protect equality, to celebrate diversity, because not only are we the better for doing it, we're the lesser if we don't. And for me, one of the things I always learned from Colonel Harvey is, man, you got to have more internal motivation than external motivation. So last word belongs to you, my friend.
No, just make a big shout out to everybody here, those that are watching online. But thank you for all that you do. Continue to fight the good fight. And boy, if you ever want to have a conversation, an authentic conversation, please feel free to reach out.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks for the sex.